Namaste, everyone. I could very, very easily sit for the 2 hours just looking at you all. And those that have been around a newborn baby will really recognize the energetic of just being able to look at that baby endlessly for hours. And it's amazing in the delight in simply looking at you all. It is sacred. It's glorious. To allow the glory within your energy field to freely flow. To allow the oneness of being to freely flow brings forth the glory. We can use mantras that inspire and invoke oneness, life, the divine streaming forth energy. And right here now, in absolute simplicity, resting your attention, consciousness onto, bringing forth consciousness, the light, the oneness, the glory. Feel it. Feel the light. To allow every breath of feeling the light like never before. Allow a freshness. Surprisingly, we can feel spaciousness and then almost be complacent with the band of spaciousness that we can feel. Same to oneness. We can be almost complacent with the band, the energetic pulse that we can experience life from. Life in. Yet when we consciously rest consciousness, there is space for the divine to play in us. And to continue this play builds a momentum, an energetic of Shakti and energy that comes. The divine snowball, building a momentum. And that momentum is to bring an implosion into the heart energy center and then there's an explosion, and nothing's the same again. And the divine energetic within us, the preserving agent, preserves all that is sacred. How clever is that design? And all the other is burnt. Now we can have a transcending flame, and this flame can be cool or hot, and when it's hot, it burns everything. Yet when there's an awakening, implosion, explosion, that is a total different flame. That's a divine union flame. It implodes, it brings all and everything of our energetics in and in, and continues to go in until it's pulled everything in its path in, to allow the implosions, explosions, to allow the oneness of being like never before. What is the oneness for you? The interconnectedness with all and everything. We're in a soup of oneness. Here, this very dimension of oneness. And beyond. Often there's a separation with duality and oneness. It's all here. Yet to give it a platform that we can actually start consciously moving through our duality aspects to come home, it's often referred to as a separateness, and a duality is not a divine place to be. We can access duality. We are in duality. Our whole frame that we're living in is in duality. And the divine has no issue with dancing freely in duality. To feel the oneness, not hot, not cold, masculine, feminine, internal, external. The internal, external, feel the energy within you, especially as you close your eyes, feel it. And then open your eyes. Is it the same? And whatever you're noticing, if there's differences, don't try to fix it. Just let it rest in the light of your conscious registry, and the divine will respond. And our response is to give it space to align. Give the natural intelligence space to come forth. Oneness is that there is no difference whether you close your eyes, open your eyes, whether internal, external, no difference. Some of these spiritual words, we have a direct experience of oneness, and that direct experience is so strong, it pulses, and we can share, the oneness. Yet if we really look, we are coming out sometimes of that oneness, even though we're still talking about it, as if we're really in it. still anchored in it. And we've come out back into a duality play, yet still on our lips is playing with I'm the oneness. So, not making the system wrong at all, yet checking in. Is that your direct experience? The beauty of both energies coming together, the masculine and feminine, the yin, yang, internal, external, at one. To allow the direct experience, not hot, not cold, warm, full yet empty, empty yet full. And the dance comes at any point our systems, for example, with the masculine and feminine, we could have in play right now in our systems 60% of the feminine and 40% of the masculine, and we check in. And that's a precise movement of omnipresence calling upon whatever's needed in any given moment. It's organic and it's freedom to call upon that particular energy. Now, this happens many layers within our energy fields. The hot, cold, internal, external. Yet it comes in a ground of being one with it all to start with. So we come back to allow the oneness to rise forth like never before as a direct experience, sweetly, softly, not pushing, resting your attention, a soft, sweet, calling forth breath. A calling forth breath is like when you smell a divine rose and you're allowing it to permeate into your system. That's a calling forth breath. Such sweetness in that breath, such sweetness in receiving. Calling forth breath of the oneness. Let it permeate through the whole energy field. The masculine, the feminine, the internal, external, the full and empty. To allow a fresh platform of oneness once again to permeate. What are you noticing? And the gift, if you're noticing nothing, allow nothing. Because that nothing is a divine key coming forth for you to experience nothing with grace and gratitude and love. And anywhere in between, from oneness to nothing, to experience in grace and gratitude and love. Not to push, allow it to rise up. Because as it's rising up and whatever it brings on your screen, is what you're to tend to lovingly, not run with it. Just allow the kiss of your consciousness, your love, let it land in love. Very good. So often we can assume that what rises is our baggage and that we've gone back into our luggage, our baggage as such. And it's just the whole way our spiritual unfoldment's sort of been looked upon. And the invitation is to look at it with fresh, very, very different eyes. And so often, and you would feel this, the moment you touch into incredibly deep places, up comes all this other energetics. And that depth of that deep place vibrating through your system burps these shadows up. It's as simple as that. You haven't lost that divine depth. That divine depth has brought it up for you to tend to it. Not put it in the mind, not run with it that you have to do something as such, other than to embrace it in love. Let it come and land in the space of pure love, your heart, or the constant, the silence, or awareness if what's rising is creating a drawing forth of pulling you. And when we come into that pull, we all can recognize that the ego, the mind, the emotional body, the ancestral, any energetics can have this outside pulling energy. And to recognize that outside pulling, that pulling to go to emotional pain, or the pull that if somebody's pressed your buttons or you've become hurt, and the stories that come with it to reinforce it, and that pull to go there, and to recognize that pull is really, really sweet to recognize that. And to consciously be on, here's the pull, and without the dialogue of here's the pull, just energetic realization, here's a pull. I've been activated and here's the pull. And to smell that divine smell, calling forth, smelling the rose, smelling the oneness, choosing the oneness, choosing to bring it all together, streaming forth, where any separation comes back together to meet as a whole. And when we do that, and then it's like a fresh dropping into the ocean, very often there's a fresh something else presents on your field of awareness. And again, the same. Feel consciously the calling forth, the divine breath, and allow that to be a sweet coming consciously back home as a pathway to come home with all what's risen. By playing it very simply, whatever arises, bringing it on that pathway and not to the mind. Because especially in programs like this, there's a lot of unfolding happening, seen or unseen. So much energy is being transcended. Yeah? Aches and pains, disruption in organs, chakras, bodies of conscious intelligence, all can kick back. It can be really smooth, and next minute it's really bumpy. Just bring that sweet call in, smelling that divine nectar. Bring it back into a oneness. That's what it's looking for. That's what it's risen for. And that's a key for you to be able to remain in that depth, is to meet tenderly, lovingly, sweet, cleanly, whatever rises on your field. We can recognize when we're in crisis, for example, that it's not wise to make any major decisions. And I invite you, when we're unfolding like this and whatever rises, not to make any major decisions on what rises in your energy field. Because what's happening is it rises and it goes to the mind, and there's an interpretation. I'm this or I'm not, or I can only make it this far. Leave it alone. When you catch you're in that play, come back to the heart. The system wants to continually burp out these shadows, these points of tension, these experiences that prior to this we have been unwilling to experience fully and transcend. So no major anything. If you notice what's rising, you're giving it to the mind. Consciously rest in the constant, into the silence or the heart. Stay in awareness. If you really activate it, just be aware. Let it play like a radio playing, and don't go near it. If you find that you can't keep your energetic hands off it, go into mantra and stay in mantra internally. Just keep the momentum going. And then when you feel you're done, go a little bit more, another 5 or 10 minutes, and then rest and see if you're leaving it alone, whatever it was. Yeah. Let's all play that little bit sharper, finer, to the grace of our capacity we can play. No mind interpretations. Don't give it, have a commitment not to give any of it to the mind, what rises. And surprisingly, it's easier than what you could ever assume. If one has a whisper of the monkey mind going other into oneself at the moment, don't be concerned. Playing it the best we can with our grace, with our love, the divine will fill the gap. It's so inclusive. That's just so glorious. Our responsibility is playing it the best we can in love, grace, and gratitude for the opportunity to consciously play with consciousness, unwinding our energy fields for a divine instrument to play fully, freely. Okay. Lovely, everyone. Let me hear from those that wish to come on. Come on, somebody's hand goes up so that sharing your experiences. Maybe I'll sit in silence until somebody's hand. Okay, Sita, great, lovey. I was quite happy to sit in silence. Sort of break the ice. Put your hands up. All of you seem quite hesitant, you know. Okay, Sita, away you go, sweetheart.
So I've been moving into this heart space, which is really brand new for me. and it's really transforming my life, and I really appreciate it.
Lovely, lovely. And when you say it's brand new, it's not unfamiliar though, is it?
No, it's deeply familiar.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that so sweet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes in life, we don't always know what the priority is.
Up till then, up until we realize what the priority is.
Now I've
Yes.
got, now I've got it. I'm not going to forget it.
Lovely. So sweet. Beautiful report, Stephen. Yeah.
Sometimes the tinnitus is loud, and sometimes it just goes away like it did today. And it comes when I go to sleep. And I
Yeah.
have worked with my kidney adrenals, and I'm
Good.
starting to learn about what my triple heater is.
Ah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The balance of heaven, human, earth experience. The oneness.
I mean, it's not hard to see that I might have some irritation in one kidney or one adrenal or the other.
Yes.
It's not
And
hard to do.
as you keep playing that exercise, it'll keep showing one cell that has an irritation and you meet it in love. And whatever keeps presenting, you just keep playing it, meeting in love. And you will find it'll come back to just allowing your innate intelligence to meet it. Just keep providing that conscious play of consciousness, and it'll unwind. You'll suddenly realize, oh, it hasn't been there. Because surprisingly, when different ailments balance and go, we just go on like it's always been like that until we go, ah, wow, it's not here. So what you'll find is you'll get bigger and bigger windows of it not there, and then it'll go. As you allow the light of consciousness to fill the kidneys and the adrenals, love, pure ray, the kidneys will drink from it. And the kidneys will bring on your field of awareness energetics that no longer serve. And you're just holding that back in love. Yeah. You just let it land in your grace and your gratitude and your love. And the body responds to it very, very well. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do find feelings come up. I become aware of stuff, and then it goes away. And it's not like it used to be where it would be overwhelming. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you for putting your hand up, Stephen. Lovely. Lovely. Break that ice. Thank you. Cedar Lovey, would you like to come on?
Maybe.
Namaste, darling.
So what's been playing is mostly the physical body, and a way that I haven't experienced before, that it feels, it's mostly the diaphragm, I think it's in English.
Yeah.
It feels like my breath cannot really go all the way into my body, and all of these different points of tension, they come up when I do the exercises or when we're in satsang. And I'm used to this, of course, but it really, like the past 3 days, I really had such a bloated belly. Like really, I never experienced that before. It was so big and so. And then last night in the dream time, something came up and it woke me up very intensely. but it was, I could feel like the whole belly after that release, like really sinking in, which was really, really lovely, and really grateful for that dream time that created that opportunity to meet that. So it has softened a bit, but it's mostly the physical body. Sometimes it just feels like it's like I don't fit in it. Like when we did the exercise with the formulas, I feel way more relaxed and more than when I focus on the physical.
Up till now.
Up until now.
Mm.
Yeah. You'll surrender in and feel just this delight in the physical if you allow that space. But what can happen is that we become so accustomed to the lightness of the formless. We really spend a lot of energy in the formless at times because it feels so light, and you could say what needs tending to doesn't seem to come up as much. Yeah. And then the physical gets a bit thirsty of the divine pulse, the divine breath. And so then it kicks back and it banks up. Yeah. And often that's bloating. Yeah. It hasn't been nourished. Yeah. You allow the physical to rest in the divine formless and allow the formless into the form. Yeah.
Mm.
Allow the both way freedom pathways to open up freshly once again. Consciously, we'll keep, allowing you to not move back into that pattern of separating from one to another.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel more relaxation, mostly in my stomach when, it feels
Yeah.
more settled.
Yes.
More here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way.
Mm. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Lovely. Lovely. Eric, would you like to come on? And Teresa, you after Eric. Lovely.
Morning.
Good morning. Or good evening to you. Yeah, lovely.
The body is unwinding right now.
Mm.
Like this kind of pressure on the chest. Same time as this heat going through.
What does it need?
Yeah, allowing comes.
Okay. And it's lovely to ask the question, and allowing comes, especially when we really feel we're allowing, and it's not like we're not allowing. And allowing comes for us to rest our attention on allowing to allow that little bit more. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. Yet if we name that, then we can assume, oh, we're not allowing. It's so far from that. It's just allow that little bit more. That conscious play, once again, of allowing that little bit more. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. Hmm. And the energy around the chest, just love the lungs. Bring the formless into the lungs. That divine breath of God. Leonie, allow your lungs the same. Anyone that's having issues with lungs or your breath, and even if you are not having issues with your breath, play it. To allow the breath into the large intestines and the lungs. The capacity to experience, to breathe in, to fully experience and experience, and our capacity to fully let it go. Even the most sacred experiences, to fully let it go. For the divine will be there. The divine remains. But any interpretation around that divine energetics will be washed away by the divine breath. Stephen, not that I am concerned of hearing your noise, but it's easier if you
Oh,
put
I'm
your...
sorry.
No, it's
I'm sorry.
fine. And that burping is very particular, so allow the freedom of that. And it's the same as yawning. It's very particular in this process right now. Yeah. What are you noticing, Eric? And anyone else that's playing, keep playing. The lungs and the colon, they have an omnisynchronicity. Yeah.
Yeah, when you mentioned like there's also letting go of the divine experience, I felt there was also like an holding in my system.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
And
And understandably, because they're so rich, we don't want to let them go. And that holding.
yeah,
Yet surprisingly, when you let them go back to the divine, wash back where they come from, where they radiate from, all the interpretations, all the anything that's stuck onto them gets washed. So that experience is washed, divinely washed. And that divine experience, the pure knowing of that experience, what it brings you is has a free play to come in, dance, and go in any combination at any given moment, to be drawn upon, consciously or unconsciously. Yet when we hold on to them, it gets a bit obscure and we don't have the freedom to really access that divine experience to the richness. We can play it. Yeah. That's really beyond trusting in the preserving aspect within us. A willingness to totally let it all go. The most intimate, glorious, glorious energetic experience.
yeah, I feel that there was instant space. And it's like this whole retreat that's happening, that my whole spiritual life is just emptying out.
Yeah.
And it's getting so ordinary.
Yes.
And yeah, that's like an isness. It's not even fine. It's just
Yeah. And so let go of the isness.
It feels so here and
Yes.
like myself.
Yes. That's right. It's like resting beyond resting our trust into the divine, for we know we are that. We know we don't have to hold on to anything, because at any given moment, in the combination of the streams forth a bit of masculine, a bit of feminine, a bit of internal, a bit of external, a bit of soul, a bit of ancestors, a bit of the physical, a bit of the spirit, a bit of the physical again, and away it's streaming forth in a sacred dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And the innate intelligence's consciousness is playing that, has the freedom to play that.
yeah, where it's a little bit sticky up until now is like speaking my truth, and well, people can get upset about that. You know that they need to hear it, but sometimes I don't want to share that truth.
The gap is someone needs to hear it.
Mm.
That's where you need to tend to. And check, is it I need to say it, or does someone need to hear it?
Yeah, I see the interpretation,
Yeah,
a filter.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's the projection out?
Yeah,
Yeah. When we recognize there is a truth to be named within a situation, let it rest in the heart of all what you're feeling that needs to be shared and said. And when you know someone may take it in, not in what it's meant to be, give it back to the divine within you, humbled in the privilege. And with the prayer of, may the communication be beyond. Check in that you're totally clean and have met all the energetics of that, what's rising to communicate. What is in that energetics that gets you to come out to there? And you're checking in, then you can check, yes, it's clean. It's clear here. Yeah.
yeah, I can see that it was not clear at that moment.
Yeah. 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 Nice catching. And then whatever is not clear, let that rest in the heart. And surprisingly, when we're playing it like that, the whole dynamic can fall away. Just like that. It can just, and what was being played out with that other person, you get to see, oh, it was actually in my energy field, not the other person's energy field. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I knew that, and yet I didn't want to know it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. When we're humbled in the grace within communication, it will come out with a lot of love and, and at times we do speak our truth and a person will respond and not like what we're saying or interpret what we're saying. And, you know, the key is to keep checking in what's happening in your energy field, because that's what you're responsible for, not for responsible for anything else other than that. Yeah. Comes closer and closer, and we're just being. We don't have to share anything as such, or communicate in a way other than just being.
Yeah, I recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah. Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to check the relationship between your lungs and the colon. Everybody check in there. How does it feel? Is it free flowing? Large intestines, lungs. Bring them together as one, energetically. Feel them both and allow that sweet calling forth of bringing them together, resting in the heart. What are you noticing, Eric?
More silent. First the column was holding. When you shared and it opened up.
Yeah.
I feel it still happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Very good. Thank you. Cedar, I just wanted you to touch back on you, Cedar, about is what's happening with your diaphragm, or anybody else with your diaphragm. Thanks, Eric, and thank you for all your support, endless support, both of you, and Ilya and Cedar. What's happening with your diaphragm now?
It feels well, the belly feels more relaxed, but the diaphragm, it really feels almost like a line.
Yeah, yeah. Remember when we spoke of the liver and those fingers, in this mainstream just under the sternum here, to put your fingers like that in, and that main line just under the bone here, and then you're doing, and that you'll find that, is it sore?
Yes.
Yes. So come in softly, lovingly, don't go in like a bull, very soft, and just keep working it. And you'll find that'll open up, and then go across to that last rib, and then one side and the other, and rub that. When you feel that there's a line across, that's definitely from the liver invading the stomach and across here. Yeah. And what happens is you're in that upper energy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And then that'll open up and you'll feel connected back down. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Leonie, I'm going to come on, and what's so funny? I want to hear what's so funny.
We're just having a lot of laughter today. So it's just like keeps on erupting the most stupid stuff, just ignites.
Yeah, yeah, great. So allow that, but don't follow it, and don't sort of follow that pathway of that, the heart fire releases like that, but stay on what we're dialoguing. Otherwise, the heart fire is putting a blanket over and you're not listening to what you need to be listening to, rather than the pattern of the heart fire is coming in the way. Yeah. So don't let me dampen the laughter, but also stay simultaneous with what's happening, and don't let the laughter consume you, as in taking the center stage. Let it keep burping out, because that's the heart fire, the ordinary heart coming closer to being able to meet the pure heart once again in a freshness. Yeah. So it's very healthy to allow that laughter, but not be taken by it. Yeah. Great. I feel like I've put a wet blanket on it, so be a bit freer. It just needed to be said. Yeah, because you all know, in Satsang, you'll hear, these laughters going off, and that's all where the heart hasn't expressed itself. And next minute, the system becomes relaxed, and all this stuff, and it's like, it can happen with tears, all the tears that we didn't allow ourselves to cry, all the laughter we didn't allow ourselves the freedom to fully laugh. Yeah, healthy. Yeah, good. Okay. Check in, what are you noticing? And again, smell, call forth the oneness. Annalise, would you like to share something? Lovely.
I'm feeling an expansion of my chest. Up until now, my habit has been shallow breathing and tightness, and the focus on the large intestine and the diaphragm and lungs is releasing that constriction.
Yes.
Even though I've efforted in the past to do that, today I really feel like I'm breaking open that tightness. So this Satsang is helping me.
Yeah, very good. For you, like for all of us, to allow that breath without forcing the breath. When that breath, comes down and bringing all those organs together as one, and that Buddha belly to anchor your breath. Yeah. So incredibly sweet. Once again, here like never before, as the breath drops right down, and it's in the lower belly, the lower burner, the lower triple heater, yet it's so beyond that. And it's this boundless breath that sort of opens. It's like the divine womb for the breath. Yeah. And so often a lot of divine workers work with their breath quite up, because the radiance of the light that they're working with, the very nature of it pulls you up, because it's such a vibration compared to the collective vibration. So it's sort of like the density tends to squeeze us up. And it's so important to bring that light through down the system. Yeah. So that diaphragm, under the sternum massaging, and the last rib on both sides, I invite everybody to have a little play with it at some time in between. Yeah. And the last rib, surprisingly, is really low. It's really, really low. And that you'll find will help the whole breath drop down, because sometimes we assume also it's the breath, or we're holding on to something, and it's actually also the liver's involved, and it's just wanting to set the scene, and so it's like a controlling space. It wants to set the scene. Yeah. So by opening it up and allowing it to really, the liver to come back in its house and rest. And, that Buddha belly is all from the navel right down to the base chakra, all that area, all what's in that pelvis. Yeah. And that area includes, the base of the spine, the sacrum, and the tailbone. It all opens. And that's why checking in what's happening in the tailbone, checking in what's happening in the sacrum, checking in, softening the hips, allowing the hips like never before. Yeah. Allowing the liver and the gallbladder energy to come together as one. Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah. And then you watch that breath, that lower belly, it will just open. Yeah. And as it starts to open, stay out of it. And if you find, the mind goes in, there's the lower belly opening, and you feel like it just sort of stopped there, just feel, smell your way back in, because it's fresh, and just be still, rest in the heart or awareness, the silence, and it'll keep going. Yeah. Okay, lovely. Yeah, very good. Who's going to come on? Renee, do you want to share something? I'm sorry, Teresa, I haven't got back to you. Renee, do you want to share something?
Hi, Pia.
Hi, Renee.
I'm not sure actually. It was funny because when me and Leonie were laughing, I just knew again that you were gonna, that we were getting into. So that was really nice. And the thing that came to mind was that it was the crying first, the first day when we talked.
Yeah.
And now there is laughter, so that's also really, really nice. And I feel like there is a lot of resistance during the days of like really going into the practice.
And how do you play that?
Well, I try to be gentle with it, as in um, to not get mad at it,
Yeah.
mad at myself for that. And sometimes I do feel like I can sinking. Um, but I've been having this craving for food, for bad food. And I've been having that for quite a long time. And I still have that, even when I can really feel that I don't need it and my body doesn't even want it.
So if you ask, does my body want it, and really allow the feeling that the body will bring you in that response,
Mm-hmm.
helps there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't make any of it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If this is what your body is craving, well, it's often supporting a pattern. So we can look at it. What's the pattern? What's the emotion, the unaddressed emotion that gets you to go to that? What are you not tending to?
Well, I feel that it's very destructive. That what I do is destructive. But
Yeah, so just if we take that off, the judgment of it,
mm-hmm.
so we can sort of open it up and have a look underneath,
Mm-hmm.
because that's your interpretation. We don't know that, that chemicals that from the junk food or whatever it is might be the exact little drop of something that sparks a divine realization. We have so much judgment over all this, we should, we shouldn't, and all that. It's just absolute nonsense. It might be the exact shock that the body needs to wake up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's an innocence in following the cravings. Where it becomes not innocent is how you label it. It's destructive. So now you're labeling it destructive and you're still doing it. So that has more, you could say, destructive energetic than the innocence of just eating that food,
Mm-hmm.
how you are with it. So take all that off the table. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have a saboteur energy running, in your system. Doesn't matter. You'll find if you allow yourself to have that junk food or whatever it is, with no judgment, no making yourself wrong,
Mm-hmm.
often the very nature of going to it doesn't have its kick anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another play is that on your reach for it, check in. Who is that that's reaching? So, not to make it wrong, to be able to hold it in love and open it up. Who is that that's grabbing that? What aspect of energetics that's running here that goes to go for that? And very lovingly have a look, hold it in love. Yeah. I really want you to play with that very sweetly, and I really want to hear back how your system lands. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been one for denial of anything. It just doesn't work. It just really doesn't work. It's to lovingly open up and see why we're reaching for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when we see and bring it to the heart and transcend it, you may still reach for it. That's okay. Yeah. But you'll find the reach is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not being driven by a particular energy. There's a freedom.
Yeah.
I love chips. I really love chips. And right now we've got these great dried, slow dried shiitake mushrooms and vegetable chips, and they are so delicious. And you know, in here last night, you know, everyone was saying, oh, these are really good. Nancy said, oh goodness, you know, uh-oh. And so then I took a bag of these chips up into my room last night, and it was like heaven. I was just munching away. And, you know, some people go, oh my goodness, well, they were really healthy chips, but they're, you know, just beautiful, you know, like let go of all the idea of what we can do and what we can't do. Goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Play lightly with your system. Enjoy the open discovery.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Yeah, good.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Good. Okay, Teresa, lovey, sorry, I sort of went around a bit.
Namaste. Pia,
Namaste.
your timing is impeccable. So thank you.
You're most welcome.
I wanted to know if you could say something about the kidneys. And I don't know if this is related, but up until today, this morning, I've had a pattern at night or in the early morning where I wake up around 4 with so much darkness and dread, and sometimes 3:30.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't been able to deal with it. So I would just get up and start my day so I wouldn't have to be in that.
Mhm.
And what I did this morning was I brought it into my sacred heart. I opened and allowed it, and I ended up going back to sleep and
Perfect.
waking up later. So, but I also have had this metabolic panel done for this pre-op for my shoulder replacement, and it shows that my kidneys are off a bit. And I wondered, is that the time when your kidneys wake you up? Will you wake up because of kidney?
Kidneys at 5 to 7 in the evening. So what happens as we get older, and especially in the West, we're quite crass with our chi, shakti, and energetics. Yeah, and we tend to spend it. It comes and we spend it. So the art of cultivating our chi and energy. So those chi raising practices of a morning would be very good for you. And as you do, you're scooping the chi up, just allow the chi with your breath to really hone in on the kidneys, to just keep pumping them up with chi. Kidneys, you know, all the organs, you know, especially the kidneys, we can't have too much kidney chi. Yeah. Yeah. So you can use those chi raising practices, and then when as you breathe out, you're scooping, and then out, just see the kidneys, see the breath going to the kidneys. Yeah. Yeah. And then you're breathing in all the Omni Shakti, and as you breathe out, allow the breath to funnel in. Yeah. We can lay in Shavasana and do the same, breathing in, not unlike the exercise for Stephen, in the right kidney, you know, resting in Shavasana, come into the right kidney, bringing that golden emanation of light, 5 minutes, then rest, then go to the left, do the same, breathing in and out. And then you can bring them both together, like the yin yang, the left and the right together. And you can rest there, bringing them together. And whatever you're noticing within their energetics, then you can do the same with the adrenals, the right and the left, bringing them together. And then resting in between is really just as important as on the practice, because the resting gives an opportunity for the divine intelligence to really play underneath, and whatever the kidneys are hooked into, other bodies of consciousness or the energy centers, it'll do its play. Then you go again, bring it together. When you come and then keep resting, you've got both kidneys, the adrenal, you've brought them together. Now then go into the central nervous system. And again, bringing that golden light and resting in that purest of pure light. And as you're resting, you're seeing them, they're filling up once again in that pure light and basking, soaking, resting there. Yeah. Very simple, very clean, just is. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, so keep doing that all the way up to the surgery. Just bring them back energetically. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Lovely. Thank you. Yes, Dana, come.
I wanted to report how the exercises where we would bring the different chakras together and bring them not separately but meld them and have the softness of the integration was just such a beautiful, beautiful way of thinking. Just not a linear fashion, but it was just such a more, it spoke to me as a sense of wholeness and wellness and the whole concept of the integrative component, that we are not just individual parts, but that we don't have to hold all these areas separately because we are all one. So I just wanted to thank you for those exercises. I just love them.
Great, great. Yeah, I'm enjoying the play of you know, like it's like sort of we're deconstructing, we're opening everything up, but
Absolutely.
looking very intimately at the play, the dance they have together, and yes, and then bringing them back to the one, and it's sort of like, oh, that's that energy, and we recognize that.
Yeah.
It's just had a divine cleaning. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Dana. That's great. Why I'm here, you know, I wanted to sort of talk into the play within mental health and the internalization of what's really going on, even though through the mind it's spoken, it can be spoken what's going on, but it's through the mind and it's feeding it back in the internalization. To always be a gentle reminder to speak through feeling as much as possible, and to pick one avenue to allow whatever's happening inside, even if we're not quite sure, to even in the breath, out of language, to have a play with that if that helps yourselves and your beloved, to just out of language, not to get involved, with the intent of releasing that internal suppressing of all what's happening, because that's the mental health, and the body spins. It's internalizing it into organs. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what organ, you know, it's too much, but just a very simple breath. Let's have 5 minutes with the intent of breathing out and just really softening, softening. And you'll often find that the breath is really short, really, you know, and then stop and relax and go again. If it's because often when it's a bit bound, you know, and you'll see that in the toning, the breath and the release is quite fragmented and soft, but just go very softly and getting that breath And that will create more space. Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Great. Most welcome. Lovely. Renee, I wanted to also talk back into that, you know, when you have resistance to the exercise, that's very common. It will be just picking up your resistance to other aspects within your life. And it's like shaman up, regardless of the resistance, just do the exercises systematic. Yeah. It's like, don't follow the resistance, you know. It's not that, you know, it's not even that I can experience resistance can go through my energy field. I allow it, but I don't buy into it. I don't follow it. I just let it be there. It doesn't change my direction and what I choose. Yeah. And if you're following it, then it'll change your direction to what you're choosing. That's all. So it's a really nice playground to see that and to get, it helps exercise that divine will in the direction that you really want to go in. Yeah. So resistance is a great energy that comes up to give a playground not to touch it, not to buy into it. Okay, great. Good. Yes, Cindy, come on, lovey.
Hi, Pia.
Namaste.
Namaste. I just wanted to honestly report that I was so much in the mind today.
Yeah.
Like I sent you a mail about the realization I had about my marriage.
Yeah.
And because I'm on my own in this room, in this monastery, I keep on having these dialogues with my husband while he's not here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a good practice to
And don't try and suppress that. That's just burping up from different organs. You know, it's just spilling out to wanting to be vented. Just, you know, allow that to be. And when you notice you're in it, as soon as you notice, and then realize, drop it into awareness. Reset your attention into awareness. Yeah, just keep resetting. And if you keep being taken away, like the beginning shared about going to mantra, I am here, I am here, and feel what I am here really is. Don't just sort of, you know, but the mantra will bring you in what the true meaning of those words are. Yeah. Yeah. Don't, you know, you can see the mind and the organs releasing, and we can assume that, oh, this is the mind, I'm really activated. Let's have a look, that see it as a whole other light. Oh, there's the organs just streaming out what doesn't serve them. Yeah. So as long as they're streaming out these one-liners, you know, don't follow them or add stories to it. That's your responsibility. Yeah. Don't comment on it. Don't push it away, or don't grab hold of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a lot of pain in my organs, like my liver and kidneys are really playing up.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that play that I was just talking with Teresa, you know, allow the light, allow the formless to come into the form. Allow it to be held by that emanation of light. So, you know, pick an organ at different times and allow that light to come into it. Yeah. Yeah. It's a divine cleansing within the organs, and it can get incredibly uncomfortable, and especially if you follow it in the mind. Now that's a difference if the mind's just purging, you know, it won't be so uncomfortable. But if we're grabbing hold of it, it can get incredibly uncomfortable. So mantra will help drop the mind, consciously tending to the organs that are uncomfortable, allowing the emanation, that pure love, light, the formless to sweep through and allow the organs to bask, soak, rest in the light. And it allows a recreation. So laying in Shavasana is really good for that. Yeah, because then the body's held by the floor. Yeah, and the whole system can dance freely without supporting you upright. Yeah. So have a play with that.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 It's pretty rare that all of you want, Renee was saying she was tears before, the first day, and then today there's a lot of laughter. And, you're going around the wheel of change, different organs are releasing, different energy centers are releasing. Yeah. The bodies of conscious intelligence are releasing. Their interrelationship with each other is releasing. Coming together, recognizing the tension, that they're not quite coming together, and it's in an intimate softness because they'll bounce and, very, very softly here. Yeah. And the energy field will kick back, uncomfortability. With any of the bodies of conscious intelligence, uncomfortability can come in. Yeah. Too much mind, mantra, beautiful. I am love, I am here, I am light, I am oneness. Whatever resonates in that moment, you might use 3 different mantras. Yeah. Whatever resonates. So before you go to sleep, and I know there's the Elohims, and I'm not sure what order you're doing, but just make sure that you have about 15 minutes of your mantra just before you jump into bed. Yeah, as an added, just to see if we can settle the brain, mind, and giving it another avenue to release. Yeah, other through the chatter, that's where it comes back to allow the core. So in that mind, from the organs and all its energy, it comes through the mind and it expresses in language. And then you can also come back into the raw energetics that the organs are wanting to clear the disruption. Just come back to the raw energetics out of language, and then you're less likely to get involved in it. Yeah? And the juiciness of raw energetics to come on board with the raw energetics, it comes home very quickly. Yeah. So there's a few ways to play it. So have a open discovery, what suits the system. In the first hour, one way may suit the system, and then next you'll be invited to play it another way and another way. Yeah.
You also said something in the beginning about not making any big decisions.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something to keep close to my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Not close, in. Bring it into the heart. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's, all this Shakti comes and all these things come up. And if we start grabbing hold of them, the system can start spinning out, you know, and when it starts spinning out, it starts to close down, yeah, and then a depression can come, yeah, because it just gets so overwhelmed, yeah. Yeah. So just see whatever rises is to be tended to by the divine. Give it to the divine within you, not the mind. Yeah. So, you know, oh, I need to buy, it comes up, oh, buy a new car. And then it goes, oh, buy a motorbike. Oh, no, a push bike. Oh, you know, as a, you know, just a playful example. So you're not then attaching your mind to what sort of car, what sort of motorbike, when am I going to buy it, how am I going to do that, yeah, and then running off and buy it, because it's not that. It's just burping out of the system. So then there's space to make a clear presence, omnipresence rise up in that moment choice, not driven by something, yeah. So allow the continual burping of this energetic field, yeah, without grabbing. Grabbing is sort of like fixing it in stone as if it's real. And we're coming back to the dialogue with Eric, a willingness to experience it, which whatever comes in the realization, and the willingness to totally let it go. And what will stand will be the truth in being of that radiance, not any interpretation. That's why it's so important to allow all these divine plays to totally let them go. Yeah. In honoring the divine touch is to let them totally go. So they have the freedom and the space to come in. Yeah. And it's a divine wash. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. And it's a great play because some of these divine realizations and epiphanies and divine experiences, that's the last thing sometimes we want to let go of. And that's the play, you know, because the divine is testing you. Are you attached to that? Or do you know it's still here? And will you let it go so it has the freedom to breathe and dance, move freely? And when we hold on to them, then it creates, you can say, an internalization, and the organs start kicking back. Yeah? Because we're not designed to hold on to it. Even the divine, any of it. Yeah? Bringing the lungs and the colon together as one will support that. Yeah? I keep looking at you, Leonie and Renee. That's great. Yeah. Yes, Kathleen, come. Lovely.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Firstly, thank you to everyone who's speaking. I know that, well, I can speak for myself. You are speaking for me as well. So every comment and every question is
Yes.
relevant.
Yeah.
If I didn't know it at the time until I heard the question and the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely. Including the laughter of the heart fire of Leonie and Renee is just all for all of us. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
talked yesterday about Gopala
Yeah,
and the
that's right.
playful aspect of God.
Yeah, yeah. And to bring in the light and the laughter and, yeah, rather than the dross of everyday life. Yeah, yeah.
I have a question about yesterday's. I still get nervous talking to you, which is very strange. Anyway,
It's great. I won't, it's great. I won't take it personally.
yeah,
It's just
don't bother.
it's your nervousness within your system.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's right.
You know, and checking, don't jump over it, that you're really allowing it to be here.
Oh no, not at all.
Busted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
scrambling here at the ashram. Yeah, a little
So
bit.
just
Anyway,
take the moment and just check and allowing it the best you can. As soon as you allow it the best you can, the divine comes and meets the gap. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's better.
yeah, great.
Thank you. So exercise 3 yesterday, it um it was a bit, for me, it was a bit messy. So at other times, and I just wanted to understand why sometimes it's really easy and sometimes it's messy. This one was, we were simultaneously in the
Many
third eye
places at once.
and many places. And, you know, I now and then those ones are just easy and smooth, and I get lots of lines, but I almost couldn't. I did. I stayed with it and kept going back. But yeah, why is sometimes you can do simultaneous stuff and then other times it's not as flowy?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Because we're in organic energy, live energies. So we're solid in fluidity. Yeah. And if you check in there where it gets sticky, your mind will be on it trying, opposed to allowing awareness that has enormous, like just a profound capacity of simultaneous awareness. So when it's sticky, an instant shortcut, knowing you're in the mind and dropping to awareness. That exercise is designed to bring up exactly that, to expose that. Yeah. It's one of the
And I'm
major aspects within that,
not,
because we're in simultaneous awareness all the time. And then when we do a conscious exercise of exercising that consciously, we can become really clumsy. It's like, tying a shoelace. You tie it all the time, for example. You get 3 or 4 people watching you tie the shoelace and see if it is as smooth as what it normally is, as a light example. Yeah. When you're on it, watching yourself, playing it, where you're watching from. If you're watching through the mind, then it'll be clumsy. And then you realize you're watching it through the mind. That realization is the pathway coming back. That's awareness, your presence, getting you to highlight. So you realize you're in the mind. Now just rest in awareness, using the slipstream energy of the realization. Oh, it's clumsy. Oh, it's not smooth. Oh, I'm losing it. I'm dropping off. I've got this and that. Oh, I've lost. Yeah, just come back to awareness. because awareness can be on all combinations. Not unlike, it's playing the instrument, not unlike an instrument. You play an instrument. Yeah? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course, and thank you.
Yeah.
It's a very good example of it's easy when it's easy, because it is actually quite profound when everything lines up and it all works, and I feel like I need to be more grateful for those moments or those practices, or even in everyday life. The other day I looked at a group of children and counted them. One was missing, and straight away I knew who it was. Like it, you know.
Yes.
And then other times, like who is not here?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So when it's who is not here, in that instant, you're in the mind, and then in that instant, the emotional body can be scratching at the door or whooshed in. And in that realization, you shift back into awareness, shift your attention, and in the instant, you'll know, yeah? Because awareness knows. The mind doesn't. Yeah? The mind
Awareness
is there to
knows
receive.
where it is.
Pardon?
Awareness even knows where that person is.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, the mind is there to receive the awareness, to be the platform for the awareness, the intelligence to land on it and express through language. Yeah? It's not awareness, yet it really likes to take the center stage and say and name it is that. Yeah? Great. Yeah, that's very good. And in the gratitude and honoring it would be resting consciously, regularly, more fine tuning, resting in awareness. Yeah? And allowing that awareness to consciously rest in the heart. Yeah? Is honoring it. Like when we name, we're honoring it. It's really nice to have step, step, step. How am I going to honor this? One thing is naming it. How are we going to do it? Otherwise, it can sort of blow in the wind and we just go back in. But if we name, I'm going to honor it and I'm naming this. It's the shaman. I'm naming an intent. Yeah? And it carries us home. Yeah? So the invitation, all of you, whatever you see, if there's any gaps or fine tuning, come up with an intent, whatever it is. And the invitation is to be real and realistic, because sometimes intents get named and it's just so over the top and creating so much tension. Just as the simplicity, like Kathleen, you know, if it's, I'm going to honor it by spending more time in awareness, consciously shifting. And the moment one of the children are missing, I'm going to, and I know that, and I don't know where they are, there's my signpost. Surrender back into awareness. Yeah. To name, when I step into that classroom, I'm going to remain in awareness. And when I come out of awareness, I'm going to scratch my ear. And you'll be really surprised that you start doing this, you know, and and it's sort of like, oh. And it's really nice to be playful to do something like that, to see that the body is really there to support you coming home. Yeah. Yeah.
and the amazing design of the program, you know, after that exercise, then there was a pose that, the gist of it was like, just take the moment and find, you know, stillness in every day, something like that.
Yeah,
And
great.
that was exactly what I needed to hear, and also to remember when you said, someone said it earlier actually, not to make yourself wrong in the clumsy, because it happens and it's okay.
Yes. You know, like it's so beautiful if we really take right or wrong totally out of our energetic field. And that doesn't mean we're not accountable. Yeah. To really take it out. Yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
very
Yes.
much.
Lovely. Yannicka, would you like to come on? Yeah, great.
Namaste.
Namaste, lovey.
Oh, I like to share that I'm really enjoying the sacred writing that Kathleen is reading to us. I think it's Kathleen, but yeah.
Yeah. She's got a really beautiful reading voice.
Yeah.
I love good reading voices. I could sort of melt in forever on a good reading voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it had me puzzled for a little bit, like, who is this? And then I realized it's Kathleen.
Yeah. And the evening prayer. Yeah.
Busted, I haven't listened to it yet.
That's okay. You know, pregnancy and really ripe pregnancy, you're allowed to be whatever you want to be, really. Yeah. Just in the bliss of life. Yeah.
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 I just found out that if I push over here, then, well, when I was just sitting backwards, but I was just pushing here and then feeling I had to pee. I was like, oh wow, so I'm pushing on this different side of my body. It's pushing on my bladder. It's
Yeah.
really fascinating.
Well, it's incredible because there's not much room.
No,
You know,
it's getting less
as
and
you
less.
get riper and riper, there's not much room.
Yeah.
Oh, the creation of it all. Amazing.
Yeah, I noticed with the exercise of the lungs and the intestines have been showing itself, and the lungs and they're hurting a bit. Like I feel sadness in the in yeah.
And so play with that and bring the light in there. You know, when we have strong experiences that act out, those organs can get overworked. You know, not so much physically, but energetically, spiritually, formlessly. So that's, you know, so they just want fresh light in. And, you know, and if they get overworked and if we're holding on, it takes a lot of energy to hold on. It's exhausting to hold on. Absolutely exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So consciously bringing them together, consciously bringing in the light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is sort of
the
it's above the ordinary nourishing by conscious playing. Yeah.
yeah, and I noticed the retreat has been good for that. So it shows the amount of how tired all the organs were from the fighting or the puzzling. And I like to report also another moment last time you spoke about how consciousness is quicker than angry or frustration or anger, or and then it showed itself, and
Yeah,
then the frustration came in, but it was like a slow motion, and the
yeah,
anger, and I could see the pattern. I was like, oh, and then I could consciously choose another choice to make. Yeah,
that's right.
and then still a little bit of things happened, but then at least I was conscious about the choices, and I could speak it. Like I could say, this is what I'm experiencing. And then I could feel the frustration coming, and also coming the projection on Alex. And then I could feel there's actually hurt underneath in this moment. And
Yeah,
yeah, it was very clear. I'm very grateful for consciousness to show it, to show
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. That's right.
It's true that it's consciousness is much quicker, but yeah.
And if we allow ourselves to be in that position to directly experience that open discovery of it, then we come into a whole other ball game with experiencing our emotions. Yeah.
I hope it will stay like that. I notice it's been like it's easy to come up.
Yeah. There's no reason why it wouldn't, because that's just our innate capacity to play. That's what we're designed for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't be concerned with trying to hold on. Just keep playing in the delight of it. Once you have that knowing, the knowing's there. The truth in that knowing stamps a divine stamp. The system has experienced that and knows that. Yeah. And other energies can come and go. Yet you just allow it, you can let it go, because the system, the preserving agent in the vibration energetic, you've got it. You've seen it. There's a aha. Yeah. So you can relax. When the mind tries to hold on to it and really starts trying, that's when it gets messy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
System knows it, recognizes it, sees the space of it, the delight, the freedom it brings us. Yeah. Yeah, great.
Yeah. And there was another nice moment today when I was drawing the Kali yantra. I felt like drawing, so I was
Yeah.
drawing it, and Alex was playing a Kali mantra. That was good.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Kali energy is so gloriously soft and pure in vibration. And it's so lovely to allow everybody to be drinking, drawing forth that finery and softness of the Kali energy. Lovely. Thank you, Yonika. That's great sharing, great report. Yeah. The importance of recognizing consciousness is quicker than all other experiences that occurs. Consciousness is that. And the very nature of liver, the governor of chi, can out. But Yannicka and I were in dialogue about consciousness being faster, is already on it. And when you allow yourself to receive that, then it'll show how consciousness and how the energy of anger, frustration can come in slow motion, so slow. it opens up our moment of choice. And if we ask ourselves to highlight our moment of choices, in particular when there's any hesitation or going into a direction that does not serve us anymore, to allow that moment of choice to open up. Yeah. And it's like time stands still. The timeless comes in to allow ordinary time of energetic movements within duality. Time comes in and slows it down. And it might be 3 seconds, a second, and it's opened up to a boundless, timeless space. It's a beautiful play, beautiful to honor it and to play with it. Allow yourselves to be in an opportunity, a playground for that to show itself to itself. Yeah. To highlight your moment of choice. Lovely. Would anybody else like to share something? Yes, Donna, come on, sweetheart. See, it's as simple as that. You come on and you do this releasing breath.
There's also just this showing you what I want to say as well. It's like I can just present it to you without saying it. So now I've got to find words to do it in a linear fashion. It's almost like, do I have to?
Yeah, stop. No, you don't. That's the mind coming in. You don't have to find words. You just keep leaning in. Allow the energy to call forth the particles of omnipresence within each word to stream forth.
Lovely. So the oneness that you took us into this morning feels like it's even transcended the mild management of being in Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
And it's like I thought Sacred Heart was it. And this, it's like Steve said, once you get in Sacred Heart, you go, this is it. This is where I want to be. But in that, there's still a management and, the remembrance to keep returning. And it's like you just said to somebody, it's exhausting. So there's still a degree of exhaustion in management. And the oneness it just transcended the entire energetic into just opened up into something else. And, there's no management anymore in that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And if the manager is in play for some, that manual play, when you're shifting your attention from mind into the Sacred Heart or mind into awareness, no tension, the utter ease of it, and it's a shift of attention. Like the ease of looking at you or over there or over here. It's like that. It's a shift of attention, no effort.
I find that the shift of attention from mind to awareness is no effort and instantaneous. But sometimes, more often than not, the shift of attention to sacred heart is more effort. It's like there's a pathway there to slip into, but it's still a linear doing where it's not as instantaneous as just pure awareness.
Yeah. Well, that's good realization, a good knowing, good seeing. Yeah. So that means that there's still some energetics to tend to on the way. That's all.
Right.
Until now. And you don't have to go looking for them. They will beautifully present in their own organic movement. But what will support that is the ease that you recognize you drop into awareness, anchor into awareness by just resting there, and then resting awareness in the heart.
So I'm wondering now that
by that conscious play, not having anything in play as such, in everyday life, just when you're in awareness already, very anchored, then just it's like sitting in the seat of the Sacred Heart. You just sit there. Yeah. And what it does, it brings that omnipresence, energetic purity into the body, energetic portal that opens up other dimensions. Yeah.
So I think everything I'm describing is that. So it's maybe that the oneness that I managed to drop into got rid of the last little bit of management of return to Sacred Heart. Maybe that just transcended and now I'm kind of just in it rather than finding the pathway in.
That's right. If you're residing in oneness, absolutely. Yeah. So what happens in the programs is that you consciously touch base on platforms, vibrational energetics that you're already accustomed to, and you're coming in with a fresh cleaning, dropping into, recalibrating the dance with the organs and the chakras and the bodies of conscious intelligence and their dance in the space in between. Yeah. So when you drop into the oneness, yes, so remaining in the oneness is by allowing them the wash of the oneness, not trying to hold on to it, just, surrendering, basking, soaking, resting. Yeah. Spontaneous prayer, not to give I'm in the oneness to the mind. Breathe in and out through the Sacred Heart. Yeah. Choose consciously not to give it to the mind. Rest in the silence. Choose quiet.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Can I share something else?
Yes, please.
I was going to send you an email, but many of us probably know the intimacy and the love that grows with all these people in the meetings again and again, and we share each other's stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody witnessed, my suffering the other day in regards to my son. So it's really nice to just share this with everybody. But since that day, he hasn't stopped texting me. There's this constant dream and saying, you know, he's going to come home and he wants to get a job and save up for a car. This absolute opening up of something. That's it. I just want, yeah.
Divine shifts as we do our medicine work, our divine work. It opens up.
Thank you to everybody. There's a strong call to
Yes.
give gratitude to the holding,
Yes.
the contain.
Yes. The divine pulse for all of our beloveds, our community, our countries, the Earth's people, the whole planet, and beyond, into all dimensions, all life. Drinks from the pulse when we come together sacredly to allow the divine light free expression within our system. There is a celebration. Beautiful, just lovely. Enjoy the play. Enjoy what rises. Enjoy the open discovery. The intimate opportunity, the playgrounds that keep opening up. Just gorgeous. Thank you, everyone, once again. Thank you. Iche. Yeah, lovely.